Hi and welcome to this channel. In this video we are going to be speaking about chapter 4 of the book Economyths by David Orrell, and this is called the extreme economy. In this chapter, Orrell basically looks at a core belief in economics, which is that the economy has a stable and predictable pattern to it, that it functions in a predictable way, and instead he shows us how it is chaotic and actually a system that cannot be predicted for many reasons that will be spoken about later in this video. So without further ado, let's get on to it. So economic models often assume that markets and prices follow regular bell curve-like distributions. However, in this chapter, Orrell really points out how rather than having a bell curve distribution as what would be expected, a lot of economic events have a fat tail distribution. And this is what a fat tail graph would look like versus a bell curve distribution. And essentially what it means if it's a fat tail distribution is that there is a lot higher of a risk. And in economic events, there can be a lot more damage or risk than expected. So for example, in stock market crashes or in housing market crashes, there is a lot more volatility than what would have been expected. So a really good example of this is the 2008 financial crisis that the economic models were not able to predict, because they do not account for these extreme and rare cases that happen more frequently than they take into account for. And so Orrell here then links these economic crashes and problems in the economy to natural disasters, because while they're incredibly rare, when they do happen, they cause extreme damage and massive consequences, which is the same as when a financial crisis happens. They are rare generally, but when they do happen, the economy does end up going through a lot and it is incredibly damaging to it. And while these events are really rare, because for a lot of the time it is a calm place and no natural disasters or economic crashes happen, but the calm is then punctuated with these crashes and problems that then come after it. So you may be thinking, why does this actually occur? And Orrell really says that a main reason that this happens is because the models that do this are oversimplified with assumptions such as rational thinking and perfect information and other different assumptions made. But it results in these economic models that are meant to be predicting and displaying how the economy works being too simplified to actually display the problems within it. So these assumptions smooth out the jagged edges of what the economy actually is. And the danger with this is the fact that people then have this false sense of security because the theory and the reality of these models don't really link up, because we're looking more at the theory of it all rather than what the reality is. And so this false sense of security then leads to people feeling blindsided and being in a lot of trouble when one of these crashes does hit. And it just causes a huge upheaval in society overall, because we have not been expecting such a problem to occur, because the past problems have been smoothed out through assumptions and simplification of the economy. So Orrell gets us to think about how the economy is not actually just a graph on a piece of paper, but it is a complex and dynamic system that takes into account so many different variables. It's like the weather, where we can predict it up until a certain point, where there are so many different things that influence the weather or the economy, so many different variables, that it's impossible to get it 100% on point all of the time. These models do, for the most part, benefit our society, and they do help a lot because the predictions can generally be right, but they don't take into account these seemingly insignificant factors that can then cascade into a lot more chaos. And this is where the problems come in, where it's once every blue moon, but it does happen and the effects can be devastating. So what I basically just found Orrell was trying to say in this chapter was to expect the unexpected and to embrace the extremes of this economy, because that's what economics is. It's the study of the unpredictable. It's the study of people. And so yeah, he was basically just saying to understand that the economy is not a gradual and slow moving line on a piece of paper, but it's full of extremes and unexpected circumstances and surprises. And I find that so interesting, and I think that's what keeps me so entertained with the subject and so intrigued by it at all times, because it's constantly changing and because there's always something new to look at. So thank you so much for watching this video. I will be coming out with another one next week on chapter 5, so if you enjoyed this then please do stick around. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to add, please do so down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.